Mr. Chair, and I think that my district was very far away too, because my district also got 1,706 signatures, and from those, some of them came to my office to discuss the issue with me, many of them, and they were totally misguided. So since the moment that I was elected, and I have sat in an elected chair, I have always relied on the opinion of the attorneys that represent government, because they are the ones who protect us against, they protect our community, but they also protect us against ourselves. If I am a teacher, I cannot sit here in my professional capacity, in the same fashion that whoever is an attorney cannot sit in this table in the professional capacity. We have to rely on the opinion of the professionals who work for this government. Those professionals have always guided us in the right way and in the right fashion. And I have to say that when they tell me that this is deficient as to form and that this is the violation of the Florida law, I have to rely on their analysis and judgment, because I am not an attorney and I don't intend to be, and even if I am, I cannot serve here as an attorney, but as a representative of the public. Yes, I am committed to reform. I have no problems with that. I supported the initiatives of Commissioner Levine when the PACs came to the table. I have never had a PAC, so, or an ECHO or anything like that. My campaigns have always been straightforward. Everybody can see who's giving me money, crystal clear. And the times that I have had no opponents, I have always returned the donations to my donors. So I have always been the old-fashioned way, not the new-fashioned way in reform. And when I say fair, in the same fashion we were talking here before about the 4% increase for the unions of the county, that we hope that the nurses represented by SEIU get the same percentage, because what is fair for one is fair for the others. So that's why this question is totally unfair. Why Doral is not involved in the reform, and instead of getting $1,000, $250? Why Opaloca, West Miami, Miami Springs, Hialeah, Coral Gables, and all the other 35 municipalities? So that means that we are cherry picking against the rules of annexations and incorporations. We are just targeting county commissioners and the mayor. We are even leaving out some of the others, even though if you look at the interchange in Twitter with Mr. Crespo, that I have to thank him for a very well done study of donations and everything. And Mr. Juan Cuba, when Mr. Cuba answered, focus on commission and mayor BC. That's biggest problem. Number one, has problems adding property appraisal. If we couldn't at this point, but can't. And then agree, school board and soil water shouldn't be there, but this wouldn't impact them for reasons you stated. Shouldn't stop referendum. Courts can decide what's constitutional. So on one side, they are presenting, including the school board members, and then on the other side, on social media, they are saying no, but it's only targeted to the county commission and the mayor. And it's here, it's a copy. So I don't have much to do, so I follow a lot. Then the question that starts with, should an ordinance be enacted addressing the appearance of ethical impropriety? I have sat in this table for years. No one is a saint in this world. No one is perfect. But I will never sit here and disrespect my colleagues in a way to vote for a question that the number one statement is that all of you, including myself, are unethical. Who am I to judge you? So if you put a reform question straight to everyone in the same fashion, let's lower the amount, let's lower the contributions, I respect you for that. But when something is done in such a way that I will never say I'm better than you, or he's better than you. Who am I? I come here and I do my job to the best of my ability, representing my constituents, and proud to do so. I'm no one to go into other places and say why you didn't do it in your place, why you are judging others and not judging yourself. My grandfather was a very savvy man. He was from Spain and he was a military man. One time I was accusing, and this is the second time I say this in this table, I was accusing my cousin of doing something, and I said, Grandpa, look what she's doing. And he held my hands like this, and he told me, hold it like that. And I said, why? And he said, because when you are pointing a finger at your cousin, accusing her, you're pointing 3 fingers at yourself. Before you accuse her, look at yourself. And that is something that I learned since I was very small. The part about the gift to be included, not even in the question, you are including that as part. People don't know that. Look what happened in Tallahassee when they enacted that rule, and you better than anyone knows that. They found the way around. They put a little paper and everybody's welcome. We don't want that. We want people to know who's donating to whom and how much they are donating. And if people have a price, I have never met them, because I don't think that we have a price. Even if my father comes back to life and he has a business and it's not fair for the county, I will be the first one to vote against that. Public financing system that we get funding from the taxpayers' dollars to pay for everyone who wants to run for office that qualifies. First, I have to ask the public if they want us to use their taxpayers' dollars to fund campaigns before I make that decision for them. Because there are needs in this town for education, for crime, for affordable housing. And I have to tell them, okay, I have to set aside the affordable housing needs, the workforce housing needs, the stopping crime and increasing police presence in our streets, and educating the public and helping families to stand on their own and finding jobs for those families. I prefer to use the funding to help the community and to help the little people rather than using the funding to pay for people's campaign with taxpayers' dollars. But the biggest problem is, yes, I am a believer in fair democracy. Someone said that before. Then this is not a fair democracy because it doesn't include everyone. The reality is that using public funding should be a question. And at the same time, the financial reports, this effort to change Miami-Dade County, and I will piggyback on Mr. Bowe, shows that they have collected a lot of money from 4 entities and individuals, and Every Boy Center is a Washington, D.C. group, made 4 donations totaling $190,000. The SEIU, the reality is that the people that I spoke to that signed the petition, I was able to get the visit of some, they didn't know that it was to limit the ability of people to donate to normal campaigns and to use taxpayers' dollars to create a trust to pay for campaigns. That was the first thing they say. I will never support that. So the reality is, it's an irony and a contradiction that Every Voice is working hard to limit how much the residents of Miami-Dade County can contribute towards a campaign, and limiting the political freedom speech for our residents to 250, yet Every Voice comes to Miami-Dade County and contributes over $500,000 funded by their undisclosed contributors. Then what are we doing? If we cannot see where that funding came from to fund the initiative, then I don't understand what we're asking. Then we're asking the commissioners and the mayor to be ethical. But where's the ethics of so much funding raised from the outside, not even from Miami-Dade County, and we don't get to see who donated to those funds? So I respect the attorneys. I do respect the public. And my question is, the signatures were counted out of respect to the public, even though it was an initiative made from Washington, from the outside, that Miami-Dade County had nothing to do with that. At the same time, Mr. Chair, a demonstration was allowed in the county building where demonstrations are not allowed. At times where some of the sergeants of arms weren't here. We have to make sure that what is fair for one group is fair for another group. It never happened before, and it was allowed to happen on the second floor. So there have been many things done that are not right, and since, according to the changes Commissioner Cava brought, the 501c4 organizations, where now everyone is crystal clear. Let me tell you that Every Voice, the one that raised the most funding from the outside, is a 501c4. So they don't have to show where the money is coming from. And contributions from New York, Mr. Henry Pincus, I don't know who it is, $50,000. He's very interested. Another contributor, Mr. Eldred, $25,000. But then 11 donations were from Miami-Dade County, $397. So, you know, I do believe in reform. I do believe in respect, but I also believe in the legal part of this matter. I voted to allow the signatures to be counted, even when we were spending taxpayers' dollars in doing so. But if something is against the law, like Mr. Rubin wrote the letter to me, he advised them when they came that it had to comply with the state statute and with the law. That's not his job to verify that. It's the job of the people who present the signatures. And they didn't abide by those rules. I cannot support something that is not legally sufficient. I cannot support something that is immediately creating, and I don't know the legal term, when you give a statement to convince someone of voting for something. What is?
I think you're saying misleading.
Misleading. Thank you. So I am open to changes to help in the future, but having everybody into consideration.
Thank you,
but don't take away money. Don't take away money for campaigns when there are so many people that are living in poor areas in this county that they need every penny that we have to improve their living. Sometimes they even need that money to eat. And I prefer to give that money to the public rather to the other. And I also prefer to know who's donating to who, where's the money coming from, instead of those PACs that are hidden. And to say the least, including the gift part in the question is unfair. Let me ask you something, Abby. When this commission in the past decided to put the salary for commissioners on the ballot, you all advised us that we had to put the amount of the salary on the question by law. Am I right or wrong?
Correct.
In this part of the question that was presented by them, it doesn't state anywhere that this change will use taxpayers' dollars to pay for campaigns. So I think that following the same rules we follow when we establish that question is totally misleading to make the public think that we are doing something that is crystal clear when we are doing is just not telling them that they are going to be paying for campaigns. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.